All right. It's finally here. The news breaks when I'm at work. I still had to hit the gym. I look like shit. I didn't make my bed. I'm kind of a mess, but I had to sit down and make a video because the Chicago Blackhawks just traded Lukas Reichel to the Vancouver Canucks for a fourth round pick in 2027. And honestly, when I first saw the news, I wasn't going to make a video about it, but then I went to the comment section. I was looking at, just honestly, the visceral negative reactions from Blackhawks fans on Twitter and Instagram alike kind of surprised me, to be honest with you. They surprised me, and so I was like, all right, I think I need to sit down and talk about this subject for a few minutes because I guess it is a hotter button issue than I thought. I think some of the people who are quite upset about this move are maybe fans that have not watched this team for a ton of years, and maybe I'm off on that. Maybe there's just like a love for Lukas Reichel. There was clearly not the same kind of love for Philipp Kurashev was basically in the exact same situation Lukas Reichel was. He was given multiple opportunities with multiple different coaches, never really seized those opportunities, and was eventually dealt. I would imagine the love and admiration for Lukas Reichel had more to do with the fact that he looked like a Vogue model than his actual play on the ice, which I can completely understand and respect. I love players for I wouldn't say I love players for similar reasons, like just thinking that they're hot, for obvious reasons, I hope. But I do understand the mentality. I'm not here to hate. When I look at Lukas Reichel and his situation with the Chicago Blackhawks, it wasn't just last year, and that was the narrative so much around Lukas Reichel last year's, oh my gosh, he's buried on the fourth line. He's buried on the fourth line with Pat Maroon and Craig Smith, and can we see him up higher in the lineup? I think there was a reason Lukas Reichel was buried on the fourth line. He has had the opportunities with multiple different coaching staffs and really never found favor with any of them. And so it's kind of like the bad roommate dilemma. I don't know if any of you guys have a friend out there that is just constantly whining. It's like, oh, my roommate sucks. My roommate sucks. And then the next year they get a new roommate and it's like, oh my gosh, my roommate is the worst person ever. I hate my roommate. Next year, new roommate. Oh my gosh, my roommate, this person sucks. Again, I just can't get any luck. At what point do you just sit down and look around and wonder to yourself, are you the bad roommate? And if I'm being honest with you guys, I do think Lukas Reichel was the bad roommate. There was no consistency in his game. He wasn't intense enough. Lukas Reichel is a skill finesse player who's not talented enough or consistent enough to play in a top six, and he's not physical enough or defensively engaged enough to play in your bottom six. So he often found himself in this weird limbo up and down the lineup, not really getting to play with consistent teammates or consistent minutes. Also, to add, Lukas Reichel was drafted by that terrorist, Stan Bowman, many years ago. And so this was never Kyle Davidson's guy. I really do find it super difficult to have watched the past year and a half of Blackhawks hockey and think to yourself, yeah, you know what? I think Lukas Reichel is going to be in the long-term future plans here for the Chicago Blackhawks. It never felt that way. It's felt like this was a long time coming and this move was inevitable and it finally happened. And I think it's a great thing for literally every side. I think it's good for the Blackhawks. They free up space now. That's one less spot. It's a guy you don't feel bad about scratching and watching games from the press box. It's an open spot for a Oliver Moore or a Nick Lardis. Ever heard of those guys? One of those fellas that's absolutely tearing up the AHL right now. It's an extra roster spot for those guys. And let's face it, the Chicago Blackhawks are quickly running out of roster spots, genuinely. So many of these prospects are looking like they're going to be NHL level talents. And Lukas Reichel, at some point, you go from a prospect to a suspect. And I think Lukas Reichel turned into a suspect a couple years ago. And so I just think it made the most sense for the Chicago Blackhawks to move him. I was expecting them to move him this summer, and I was kind of not upset, but surprised that he didn't get moved this summer. But the deal happens now, and a fourth, it's the Chicago Blackhawks and this is another thing. This is like the most annoying thing to me that I saw on social media, where people were trying to point the finger at Kyle Davidson and say that this is poor asset management. Because in your head, you just know, okay, Lukas Reichel was a first-round pick, and you just traded him for a fourth-round pick, so that's like automatically bad. We got to back up and take a look at the situation here. So the Chicago Blackhawks get the fourth-round pick from 2027 back that they traded to Vancouver in exchange for Ilya Mikheyev and the rights to Sam Lafferty and a second-round pick. The Blackhawks basically just traded Lukas Reichel for Ilya Mikheyev in a second-round pick. Okay, that is not poor asset management. That is genius managerial housekeeping is what that is. That's not poor asset management. That's flipping a guy who's, look, if Lukas Reichel ever scores like 55 points in the show, I will take everything back. But let's be honest, you just traded a fringe NHLer for a guy in Ilya Mikheyev who looks like he could be a staple to this bottom six for years to come, and or a massive trade chip in the coming years. I mean, and Vancouver originally retained some of Mikheyev's salary. So I think all in all, it's great work from Kyle Davidson. You free up a roster spot. You get your fourth-round pick back. You obviously have Ilya Mikheyev and that second-round pick that you got for taking on Mikheyev and his contract, which ended up being just a fair contract. Ilya Mikheyev came to the Chicago Blackhawks as an overpaid bottom six player and then dropped 20 goals in the show last year. So I think it's absolutely phenomenal from Kyle Davidson and the Blackhawks. Lukas Reichel gets a new lease on life, gets a fresh start in Vancouver. It's what he needed. He was never able to find favor with any of the coaching staffs in Chicago. Maybe he will in Vancouver. Maybe that's... Can I be honest? I don't know if Lukas Reichel is going to turn around that situation in Vancouver, but I'll be rooting for him from afar. Congratulations to Vancouver Canucks fans. I know you guys were really crossing your fingers, hoping that Connor Bedard was going to be, the guy that would leave Chicago and come to Vancouver, but you'll have to settle with Lukas Reichel. Please take care of him for us. He is loved and appreciated by this fan base. The only side of this deal that I'm not thinking, it's a massive win for is probably the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, it's a great gamble. If I was a Vancouver Canuck fan, I'd be happy with it because, what's a fourth-round pick? I don't give a shit. So, I'd be happy with my team taking a risk on a guy that could potentially maybe be a top six player or, a depth scorer. Again, I don't think that Lukas Reichel is going to be a true top six forward in the NHL, but I could be wrong on that. I don't think I will be, but I could. So I'd be okay with the swing, but at the end of the day, it's not like you can't look at this trade right now and be like, oh my gosh, it's an automatic win for the Vancouver Canucks, because basically they gave up Mikheyev and a second for him. So, yeah, I'd say Vancouver's the only side of this deal that you don't look at right now and say that's a win. It's a win for the Chicago Blackhawks. It really is. I know some fans love Lukas Reichel. I know he's got pretty eyes and a nice jawline. I see it. I have eyes. I agree with you. Come on. It's a win for the Chicago Blackhawks. It's a win for Lukas Reichel, and it could be a win for the Vancouver Canucks. It could be, but I'm not going to say that just yet because I've seen Lukas Reichel play for many years now, and I would not be, jumping for joy, celebrating, hooting and hollering because my team just picked up Lukas Reichel. I think that's pretty much all I got to say. Obviously, I wish Reich's the best. And I'm sure he'll somehow be a hawk killer for years to come. But can Blackhawks fans, guys, if you've gotten this far in the video, unless you just acknowledge that your love for Lukas Reichel is a little irrational and based on things other than his play, and if that's the case, it's completely fine. Go crazy. But if you're looking at this trade from a Blackhawks fan's perspective and you're genuinely getting upset because you think that Lukas Reichel was not given opportunities here, or Lukas Reichel was going to be a big part of this team's future, or Lukas Reichel was going to be a true top six forward in the league for a while, you're just off base a little bit. That's really all I've got to say. I've appreciated all the support and some of the negative comments. People were feeling some type of way about my new win song on this channel, and that was cracking me up today. So I appreciate the comments, negative and positive alike. I am going to be dropping a Frundell deep dive tape review video at some point this weekend. I'm kind of just mentally dreading that because of how long those videos take to make, but the reaction to the Cancerov one was too big not to do the Frundell video as you guys, you wonderful viewers, have requested. So that'll be coming out at some point. I'm streaming the game on Sunday, so make sure you're there on my live stream on this channel at 6 o'clock on Sunday against the Kings. And that's pretty much it. Go Blackhawks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.